the studio with me. I have to say, this is a man who has impacted on my life in a variety of ways.
One of our finest sons as South Africa here with us. I don't know if there are enough words to adequately describe all that you are and all the things that you have done for this society.
This is a man who truly encapsulates the true spirit of a generation of South Africans. What a legend.
You really gave a child like me an unbelievable chance to love. And I want to say thank you so much.
What you really did is bring a culture into a new space. And with that, I think you created memories.
White men in particular frightened me, but you were so kind and you seemed to love everybody. And you had these dance moves that were so enigmatic and crazy. And I was like, who is this? My dad was like, this man is changing our world.
It has been amazing talking to you, Johnny. The way you just surmise everything and the understanding behind who you are and the music. And I want to wish you everything of the best going forward.
It's not goodbye. There's going to be new generations of people who are going to discover your music, and that is the most exciting thing.
Amamboga azothengisa izwe lakithi izwe lakithi amamboga azothengisa izwe lakithi izwe lakithi
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for this wonderful icon and legend in our country. I'm glad you're applauding because there has to be a difference between what happens and what's happening. Today is paying tribute to an incredible human being, a great legend, a great artist, a pioneer, a cultural reservoir. This is good English. This is the man who broke all the barriers, the man who took on a culture. A man in his own embodiment was South Africa, was an African. This is the man who, through his music, through his art, an anthropologist, now I know why he wanted to study where we come from, because he wanted to understand where we're going. I'm going to, as I'm welcoming you on behalf of Jenny, Jason and Jaron, and the entire Clegg family, and extended family. If it was the Khan family, it would be 1,000 people, because my grandfather had 3 wives. So now, on their behalf, I welcome everybody, every musician, every artist who's here. But first, I have to welcome our Minister of Arts and Culture and Sports and Recreation. I did it deliberately, Minister, by starting with arts and culture. I'm just jealous. And Mr. Natim Teta, and of course, former President Kgalema Motlanthe and his beautiful wife, today to grace this incredible occasion. A round of applause, please. Now I'm going to call upon the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Mr. Natim Teta, to address us on this auspicious occasion.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Dr. John Kani, Mbongi, Sis Jessica. To the creative workers, all of you here present, allow me first and foremost to respectfully greet the family, the wife, Jenny, the children, and the extended family. And as I greet them, also thank them for giving us as South Africa, first and foremost, this treasure, this human treasure, who was also the citizen of the world. The representatives of the media who are here with us, I want to acknowledge the former president of the Republic of South Africa, President Motlanthe, and his wife, Kuku Motlanthe, fellow compatriots, fellow South Africans. We have gathered here this afternoon to celebrate a patriot, a combatant for peace, an agent for change, an ambassador for the aspiration of the wretched of the earth, Johnny Clegg. Our country and cultural workers across the globe has been in mourning since that very fateful day when this towering African giant, Johnny Clegg, ceased to breathe. As his biography says, he occupied a peerless position on the global music stage, one that was built on more than 4 decades of making life-changing, life-affirming, and groundbreaking music, communicating a message of oneness, of humanity. Through the hit songs, such as Asimbonanga, the Scatterlings of Africa, Clegg carved out a music career that placed him alongside the best South African cultural exports, amongst others, the late Hugh Masekela, Gerard Sikoto, Brenda Fassie, Busi Mhlongo, Mfazi Omnyama, Miriam Makeba, Professor Khositsile, to mention just a few. These cultural ambassadors were amongst the best in our country's ever had. He was a symbol of reconciliation, a true African who understood African culture. If I may, Program Director, just strike a personal note here. As a growing young man in the hills and valleys of KwaZulu-Natal, whenever I saw Johnny Clegg, I saw myself, I saw our culture, I saw an African culture, I saw an African in him. Later in life, we were to meet after I've been appointed as the Minister of Arts and Culture. He's amongst the first people who were my point of reference. As you know, that arts and culture in society is a weapon which unifies people, is a weapon for social cohesion and nation building. When we interacted, he told me, mfana kithi, ufike sengasaphilile kahle. My homeboy, you met me at the time when I was weaker and I couldn't do what I would have done, because the major thing was to champion the agenda for social cohesion. He was that symbol. And I wish we have in our society many Johnny Cleggs who will know that you cannot confine human beings to artificial, human-made borders and boundaries. The combination of Johnny Clegg and Sipho Mchunu that produced the music band they called Juluka at the time was a radical move, something the authorities of the time distasted very much because it stood in direct opposite of what they stood for as the government of the day. In a poem paying tribute to the brave, the Xhosa poet S.C.K. Mqhayi dotted the following lines. Kwafa makhalipha amafana nkosi, agazi lithetha kwinkosi yenkosi, ukufa kwawo kunomvuzo nomvuka, ndingema nawo ngomhla wovuko, ndingambe njengomnye osebenzileyo, ndikhanye njengomso oqaqambileyo. In translation, would say loosely, the braves who would perish rather than surrender have died. Would say their sacrifice constitutes a command even to the King of Kings. Their death gives birth to a new life and a new awakening. Oh, that I may be counted amongst them on the day of their resurrection, dancing the victory dance side by side with them, sparkling as bright as the new dawn. I speak on behalf of our government when I convey our collective gratitude to the work that this cultural giant has performed in his lifetime, a work that will form part of our national memory. We stand up here to tell the world that through his music, he inspired courage as we struggled to extricate ourselves from a long night of despair. Through his craft, he will continue still to breathe into all of us liberating spirit of freedom and give us the human courage to remain steadfast in defense of our humanity. Through his courage, the world progressive humanity has recognized his contribution in building a humane society and thus honored him whilst he was still alive. His honors cuts across various fields ranging from institutions of higher learning, demonstrated by a number of honorary doctorates that have been awarded to him from across the world. Awards from the music industry and from governments across the world. There are too many for me to list all of them. His own country awarded him an Order of Ikamanga in silver. This is the highest honor a cultural worker can receive in our country. Though physically he might be gone, but he will continue to talk to us through his music. A music that communicates a message that says, no matter the challenges of the day, our destiny is in one hands. The future is brighter. Thank you for your listening and concentration.
Thank you, Minister, for those wonderful words. One can feel that this man meant so much, even to people who knew him or didn't know him. I always believe that we artists will outlive the rest because we are, in a way, immortal. We leave a legacy. Our music, our art, our words continue to ring long after we disappeared. I used to say, Minister, I remember Beethoven, I remember Leonardo da Vinci. I just don't know who was the president of Italy that time. It's not important. I want to thank the family, and especially Rodney Queen, who bestowed upon me this incredible honor to read the eulogy of this great man. I tried to look at how things I could put together, And I realized that no one should be allowed to speak but just me, because that's how a volume the work has been. But I tried with a pair of scissors to edit as much as I can. Please bear with me. Johnny Clegg is one of South Africa's most celebrated sons. He's a singer, a songwriter, a dancer, anthropologist, and musical activist whose infectious crossover music, a vibrant blend of Western pop and African rhythms in Zulu, has exploded into the international scene and broken through all barriers in his own country. In France, where he enjoys a massive following, he's referred to as Le Zulu Blanc, which means just white Zulu, which I would have preferred an African. Over 4 decades, Johnny Clegg has sold over 5 million albums of his brand of crossover music worldwide. He has wowed vast audiences with his audacious live shows and won a number of national and international awards for his music and for his outspoken views on apartheid. His perspectives on migrant workers in South Africa and general situation in the world today, Johnny Clegg's history is as bold, as colorful, and dashing as the rainbow country which he has called home for over 40 years. Born in a place called Beckup, near Rochdale in England, I laughed when I read this because I didn't know where that town was. But he returned to South Africa through his journey with his dad and mom, from Zambia to Zimbabwe, and finally landed in KZN, and he was 11 years old. Between his mother, a cabaret and a jazz singer, and his stepfather, who was a crime reporter who took him to the townships at an early age, Johnny was exposed to a broader cultural perspective that availed to his white peers. It was very easy for Johnny to make a choice and just enjoy white privilege and be a rock star. But he had a heart that told him, you have to see the plight of other people as well. Whilst he was lecturing, thank you, sir. Whilst lecturing anthropology at the Youth University of Witwatersrand, Johnny worked on the concept of blending English lyrics and Western melodies with Zulu musical structures. This blend was recognized by South African producer Hilton Rosenthal, who became the champion of the project, and drove it with passion and commitment. He signed up Johnny and Sipho Mchunu. That elder is here somewhere in the audience. I think he uses menorah blade because he hasn't got a single gray hair. To his independent label at the time, mixing music with effectively unprofitable, that was unprofitable because of the radio censorship and of music and mixed bands. Hilton went on to produce Julaka's albums such as Savuka albums. He continues to promote all their work today as their publisher. Johnny and Sipho called the new band Juluka, which simply means sweat in Zulu. Their music was subjected to censorship and internal restrictions of the state-owned radio, and their only way to access audience was through touring. This brought them into conflict with the Group Areas Act, which enforced the geographical separation of race groups and their cultural facilities. The thing, it wasn't so much that they were singing protest or political song, it's just there was black and white, and the country then was uncomfortable with black and white. I don't understand why, because every paper you write on is black and white. At this time, they could only play in private venues as the law forbade them mixed performances in public. Testing the law, they played at universities, church halls, migrant labor hostels, and even lounges in private houses. The battleground of public versus private performances was often challenged by the security police, who attempted to close down their performance whenever they could. Many shows were closed down, but not enough to prevent the emergence of a substantial following of students and migrant workers. In the late 1979, their first album, Universal Men, was released. The album was a musical journey into the life of the Zulu migrant worker, living and working in the city, but continually journeying home, caught between the different two worlds. The second album, African Litany, came out 2 years later and was greeted with critical acclaim. Juluka parted ways, and Kunu returned to his roots, which was cattle farming in Zululand, while Clegg formed a crossover band, Savuka, which we have risen, as it says. This time around, the concept of mixed African music with a wider concept. The first album with Savuka was Third World Child in 1987, broke all international sales in France, Switzerland, and all over the world. Savuka toured extensively in England, Europe, and in France, breaking attendance records. In the summer of 2004, Johnny performed in all four the tour in Europe, North America, playing to capacity houses, appeared at several famous shows like the Montreal Jazz International Festival, televised worldwide with an attendance of 125,000. I remember the sets when I was in Toronto, when Hugh Masekela, Zakes Mukai, and Kaifos took us to the stadium to listen to this wonder from South Africa. And that was Johnny Clegg with over 50,000 people dancing on a rainy day. It almost recreated Woodstock. Johnny Clegg performed in all the four of Nelson Mandela 4664 AIDS awareness concert in South Africa and in Norway. Mandela joined him on stage during the rendition of Asimbonang, a song written by Johnny about Mandela and other struggle icons during his period in incarceration. At every live performance of this song, the audience, charged with emotion, spontaneously rises to their feet. And during the Cape Town and Tulsa 4664 shows, Johnny also performed duets with Peter Gabriel. Johnny received a number of international awards. It would take the whole 3 pages of the awards he has won. From the Chevalier de Lettres of France, to the African Blue Sky, to the electronic music industry, the honorary citizenship of Achelon in France, and of course, our own Order of Ikamanga in silver, which the minister alluded to. This was given to him for his contribution to the liberation of his people in South Africa through his music. And of course, the last award, which was in 2015, where Johnny was inducted by Queen Elizabeth II herself, who gave Johnny an OBE, the Order of the British Empire. This may not make sense to our country, but this is incredible for someone who doesn't live in England. It is my honor and my great gratitude to Jenny, Jason, and Jaron, and the Clegg family to have bestowed upon me this honor to read this short little biog of Johnny's life. He gave all he could. An old priest, Tadumbanga, former President Motlanthe, he said some books are 350 pages. Some books are 650 pages. And some books are only 66 pages. And it is complete. Johnny is a complete book, and I want his friends to put it in the library and visit it occasionally when they remember him. He played his role, he gave us all. We used to have a lot of problem with the cultural boycott minister, where we were questioned with the fact that you're playing here, that the white man cannot play with you. And we had to correct the perception overseas that only black people were involved in the struggle of liberation. We had to remind them that Joe Slovo was not Sotho. We had to remind them that Bram Fischer was not Tswana. We had to remind them that Dennis Goldberg, Beyers Naudé were not Zulu. And then it was then only that they began to accept us as who we are. The last meeting we attended was in 1990, invited by the United Nations to give a plan as to how we will systematically remove the cultural boycott so that those who defied it do not benefit first than those who had supported our struggle. That meeting was chaired by the great Wallace Soyinka. There was, of course, our grand dragon, Wallace Seroto, and Prof. Khositsile. Johnny gave a stirring speech about how we could continue to build South Africa post-democracy. And he continued with that commitment. And it gives me great pleasure and honor today to call upon his son, Jesse, to say a few words about his dad. There can be few.
In 2017, my dad and I wrote a song together. It's a song about the things in life that you can't replace. To my dad, that was his family. Despite his success, he regarded his role in his family as his most important duty. He was a vulnerable, generous, and loving role model for my brother and I. He taught us to be curious about the world and to shape our lives around our passion. He believed the greatest gift that a father could give a son is a strong moral compass. Ultimately, it's impossible for me to sum up what my dad was to my mother, my brother, and me. But writing this song together was a wonderful memory that we shared. And it gave us a chance to celebrate these most precious things. It's a memory that I will always carry with me. And I'd like to sing this song for him now. It's called I've Been Looking. I've been looking for something to lose. I've been looking for something to prove. Oh well, it's hard to find yourself. I've been looking for a brighter day. I've been looking for the words to say. Oh well, it's hard to even tell. Looking at the sky and I'm wondering how I got here. And all I want to do is tell you about my fear. Standing on the edge and I'm looking at your face. I hope you, I hope you. These are the things I can't replace. I've been living in an empty room. walking in someone else's shoes. Oh well, it's hard to find yourself. I've been waiting on another view, holding out a light for you. Oh well, it's hard to even tell. Looking at the sky and I'm wondering how I got here. And all I want to do is tell you about my fear. Standing on the edge and I'm looking at your face. Tell you how I feel. Tell you how I feel. These are the things I can't replace. Oh, ah, oh, hey, oh. Oh, ah, oh, hey, oh. Oh, ah, oh, hey, oh. Oh, ah, oh. Oh, ah, oh, hey, oh. Oh, ah, oh, hey, oh. Oh, ah, oh, hey, oh. I've been looking for some brighter day. I've been looking for the words to say. Oh well, it's hard to find yourself. Thank you. Please welcome on stage Charles van Onselen.
Right. Jesse, Jenny, Jaron, and friends. Let me start by saying one day historians will reflect on South Africa in the late 20th and the early 21st century, and they'll note two things. First, the pernicious role that narrow nationalisms such as embodied in ons land, ons volk, and ons taal played, along with that giveaway line for all hidden agendas, ons bou 'n nasie. Authentic nation building, real nation building, needs no billboards, no posters, no politicians, and no political parties to trumpet its coming. It arrives unannounced, in mysterious, wonderful ways that sneak quietly into our minds and hearts, and then, almost unconsciously, leave us with a sense of inclusivity and a singleness of purpose that builds and cements a shared love of people and of place. So the second thing that historians will note is how in troubled times, two great men inserted themselves into the hearts and minds of South Africa in ways that made us bigger and better, more content and tolerant, more forgiving and understanding, and almost healed and nearly whole. The one, prisoner number 4664 of Robben Island, was an elderly, lovable sage who doused the flickering flames of civil war. The other was a young dancer, singer and musician with an infectious grin who never ceased pleading for tolerance and understanding, and in a cruel, crazy, beautiful world. Johnny Clegg was the brilliant artist and superb communicator that we all knew and love still. But there was another dimension to his artistry and his skills that we perhaps need reminding of, and that is his work as a formidable intellectual. When the political power grid in South Africa collapsed in the 1970s, the country and the campuses were plunged into proverbial darkness. Hoping to find each other and a way out, many reached for isms: communism, liberalism, Marxism, or nationalism to light up the light and the night. The isms, like torchlights, cast long, narrow beams, enabling us to pick out some of the few central features of our collective predicament. But it was Johnny, as creative as he is intellectually independent, who invented the Clegg lamp. The Clegg lamp casts a gentler, rounder, warmer light, capable of illuminating forbidding spaces in ways that allowed us to see without squinting and to find and recognize friendly faces. In the 1980s, at a large public gathering at Wits, Johnny delivered an unforgettable lecture on the origins, development, and inclusive nature of African migrant workers' musical repertoires. From beneath tufts of curly hair, sparkling eyes, and a smile that could melt concrete, he gave a lecture punctuated with illustrations from an extensive array of traditional African and modern Western musical instruments. He charmed, delighted, and entertained his audience in a stunning fashion. The content of the lecture, illustrated with bursts of music, was itself a work of art, beautifully crafted, superbly presented. Like all great teachers, Johnny could make ideas sing and dance and take on a life of their own. It was a tour de force, and we all left knowing more and genuinely enlightened. But the light shed by the amazing Clegg lamp was not just about feel-good sentiments, about overcoming darkness of supposedly immutable ethnic or racial differences. Turned up to its brightest setting, the lamp transmitted a piercing analytical light, capable of enhancing the deepest of theoretical issues with pertinent examples born of the pain of our very own peculiarly tortured Southern African heat, dust, and dreams. Back then, in the gloom of a pre-democratic dawn, parts of KwaZulu and Natal were often witness to bloody, prolonged bouts of inter-ethnic conflict. Framed in white popular consciousness as tribal faction fights, these complex inter-clan conflicts were often dismissed in the press as being simply the byproducts of spectacular weekend drunkenness culminating in mindless, all-consuming violence. But placed on a table beneath a Clegg teaching lamp, the ghostly skeletal outlines of the otherwise incomprehensible faction fights glowed with intense, new meaning. Johnny was a brilliant observer of modern society with the deepest possible sensitivity to culture situated in its proper historical context. It was that same genius that informed the lyrics of many of his songs. For him, interclan conflicts about cattle grazing and land harked back to deeply felt, ongoing grievances whose origins sometimes lay in pre-colonial times, but that were being kept alive by the encroachment of commercial farming and rural poverty. Viewed in that light, the how, the where, and the when of otherwise puzzling phenomena of violence could be more readily understood, as could be the persistence of heavily armed MPs sweeping through and across what by then were much older phantom Zulu districts, drawn from the clan consciousness that simply ignored boundaries or the existence of contemporary white farmlands. It was a dazzling exposition by the finest of minds, and one that many historians and social scientists still remember as if it were only yesterday. Now, on occasions such as this, it's customary to ask that the soul of the one who has made the crossing, the one who leads the way, rests in peace. And so we all do now for our departed brother. But back on this side of the crossing, we, the stragglers, will continue to be educated, to be energized, enlightened, enthused, entertained, and enthralled by the spirit of Johnny Clegg, the great builder. Thank you. We'll now have Sipho Mqunu, Johnny Clegg's band and dancers from the George Gar Hostel, to pay tribute to the one and only Johnny Clegg.
Kunzima kodwa ngizozama ukuqiniseka. Bafowethu nani bodadewethu ikakhulukazi nina akade sisebenza nani nale ndoda silahlekele kakhulu. Siwelwe ukubondo olukhulu akade sincike ngalo. 1969 siqala ukubonana nalensizwa, kwaba into enkulu kumina ngoba ngizalwe emndenini omkhulu, abazali bami bashona, kwasala odadewethu, abanye bafowethu bashona beyihenga emthini, kwasala odadewethu. So nase ngitholele insizwa emandleni ami kwathi ngayitshela ukuthi yabona ke namhlanje uNkulunkulu ungenzele elinye iqhinga, ngamthola umfowethu. Noma kwakunzima kakhulu ukuthi siphile impilo yethu, kodwa ngengane ngokuba ubungane esakhula ngabo sasingakunaka okuningi. Ngiyazi ukuthi isikhathi ngaleso sikhathi ubandlululo laqine kakhulu, kodwa sasingalinaki. Ngiyakhumbula ngelinye ilanga ukusuka ka-highway eJohannesburg uye ePitoli, ngangisebenza mina emakhishini eduze ka-highway la wakhiwa khona. Nengivakashela singene highway ngoba sibalekela ukuthi le mgwaqweni bayasixosha ukuthi akufanele umuntu omnyama ehambe nomlungu. ngelinye ilanga kwayiwe sathola kwama-bulldozer la bayahamba bayasebenza benza highway osuka eGoli uye ePitoli. Ayisathi thina sobabili emfowethu ngenkinga esinayo la nasingacela labantu besibele wethu umgwaqo ngaphansi komhlaba. Ngaphansi komhlaba khona sizokwazi ukuphila siphume kule nkinga ngoba basixakaza manje basiphazamisa abazi ukuthi sithandane emhlabeni. Sengisho ukuthi uJohn ube into zonke empilweni yami futhi waba umuntu wangivula ingqondo. Angaze mina ngiye esikoleni ubaba akathola ngamandla ukuthi engifundise sasibaningi kakhulu ngasale emuva mina. Kodwa ke uyangithanda ngoba ngiyakwazi ukubala inkomo ngembala. Wangikhonza kakhulu ngoba ngiyakwazi ukubala abafundi abanye abafowethu nodadewethu ngasala kanjalo. Ukuphila kwami nalensizwa kuningi engingakusho ukuthi ngiyazi ukuthi isikhathi esincane. uJohn benomsa kakhulu njengomuntu okholiwe. Sezwana ngokubambana nangokuhloniphana. Saphilelana kakhulu ngokuhloniphana ngoba ngisho noma ngikhulume ngitshela izingane zami ukuthi naningakwazi ukuhlonipha ningakulinda okuningi. Ngoba inhlonipho ibusa amabhoso amabili, ibusa abantu abawu2, amanga iqiniso. Nawuphethe amanga neqiniso ukwazi kulento kuyihlonipha konke kuyaphasa. Kodwa phunyuka inhlonipho emhlabeni awuphethe lutho. Kusitshengisileke namhlanje umhlaba wonke ezweni lakithi nase-South Africa yonke ukuthi alikho qanda elingeke lifele ezandleni zethu. Besifumbethena nalensizwa ngazi ukuthi emhlabeni ngeke size thina sihambe noma kanje. Sasize sincokole ngelinye ilanga ngithi yazi mfowethu nakwahamba qala ngifuna ukukunikeza induku. Uhamba uyiphethe ngoba ngazi la uyakhona ukuthi kuyoba njani. Mhlawumbe uhlangana le nsizwe ephezulu lapha igolozo welifaka isikhwili mfo. Yabona emandleni onke asemhlabeni bengazi ukuthi hayi thina singonkulunkulu ngokuthandana kwethu. Ngiyakubona komculo. Umculo awusakhelanga udumo ukuthina enhlizweni ngoba besiyubona njengento eyimvunulo yokuphila kwethu. Into ebiyinhle kuthina kakhulu ukuzwana nangokuhloniphana. Ngimkhumbula kakhulu umfowethu ngelinye ilanga mina nginamakhosikazi ayisithupha. Unumber 2 womkami owumambambo uNyamboza washela uyena ngoba ngangingakwazi mina ukubhala. Manje ngimtshele noma sasingezwani kahle ukuthi ngichaza ukuthi ngiqhampo uzongisiza la uthi ukubeka amagama amabili khona le ntombi izozwa ngoba ifundile. Uthisha yena ngoba mina ngifika ngikhuluma kuyena lokuthi angazi ngizokwenza njani ngendlela engikuthanda ngayo ngifuna ukuyokwakhela umuzi ngibukela phansi mfowethu ngoba ifundile. Manje wena nawuzongibhalela incwadi uzoshaya amagama athize mhlawumbe izozwa. Nanampela intombi sayiwina ngoSikeyi. Namanje lo muntu engikhuluma ngayo khona umkami. Sengisola ukuthi abantu benkosi sonke silahlekelwe. Angazi ukuthi ngabeka ngithini umoya wami utwistekile umqondo wami empty ngikonakele nje empilweni yami. Bekuyinsizwa lena enkulu kakhulu engazi ukuthi futhi abantu abaningi bebemkhonze wonke umhlaba ngokuthi ube umuntu oyihloniphayo futhi ubebathanda abantu nokukhonza abantu. Insizwa ke ngesizulu yayithi nayizi izinto ezinhle besinconywa kuthiwa inkunzi ke le. Nami ngangisho njalo ngoThabu inkunzi mfowethu inconywa insizwa inikezwe ibongo yenziwe yonke into. Samatha ke ngokwenza kwakhe izinto ezinhle simbize ngegama lokuthi uyinkunzi. Sasisethi ke uSikeyi jikele eshobeni wamudla umuntu ekuphekela ndaba zehla kabi zehla ngolisiki. Uceleke shikazimzimu usehla nembazo kaMtshongweni umama omfutshanyana mamqhoboza wakholoza konkosi kwaze kwathetha inkosi yakwazibuka. Uyinkunzi Sikeyi jikele eshobeni nyawo zimbili eyiqamalazela umfula nothukela kwehla wenyuka kwaze kwamemeza uShezi noma Khabethe kwamemeza uBen Majola wathi uyimpimpu eMajola hamba silwana.
Ikhalaphi.
Usike isikole sikonamudla umuntu okuphendula indaba zehlango lesiphi. Uqale ke sikazimzini, usetha nemba zikaMtshongweni, usalukwaza nesifusanyana. Ngiyabonga insizwa zakithi nina niphile naye kakhulu. Wathi uNkulunkulu anganemukela bonke umhlaba wonke esinabo nikhululeke insizwa ihambe kahle akanasikweleti akakaze engene enkantolo akakaze engene ejele akakweleti lutho. Uhambe kahle nomusa wakhe nenhliziyo yakhe enhle. Angibonga ukuba nani. Amen.
Ubani wasemthonjeni webakithi.
Ubani wasemthonjeni webakithi.
Ubani wasemthonjeni webakithi.
Ubani wasemthonjeni webakithi.
Ingane yamadlalangayo sengiswelana.
Ingane yamadlalangayo sengiswelana.
Ingane yamadlalangayo sengiswelana.
Ingane yamadlalangayo sengiswelana.
Sizodlala nani mabhungu. Sizodlala nani mabhungu elele.
Sizodlala nani mabhungu. Sizodlala nani mabhungu elele.
Asikhiphe inkomo asambe sophula kwaZulu.
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 Isoka la tatasela laqala ungadlala wesokulenzani.
Isoka la tatasela laqala ungadlala wesokulenzani. Isoka la tatasela laqala ungadlala wesokulenzani. Isoka la tatasela laqala ungadlala wesokulenzani. Isoka la tatasela laqala ungadlala wesokulenzani. Isoka la
Right, thanks very much. Sipa Mkunu and Mandisa Dlanga are going to sing an old Julika hit for us now. It's called Umfazi Umdala.
Ya abantu bathi hawu lo muntu wamsiza umlungu khona isizulu esithi izandla ziyagezana nami wangisiza. Bonke noma kuhlungu kufanele ubonge kubantu nanihlangene into enkulu kakhulu bantu benkosi ikakhulukazi nangokusupporta kwenu ngayo yonke indlela nihlale nisupporta njalo silimele sonke akukho ngehlungu kuyona kodwa ngithi lensizwe yakithi ayihambe nokuthula ikakhulukazi izingane zayo ihlale ibambane iqinisele nomkakhe eValley TV ibuko umndeni ngiyabonga.
Please welcome Max du Preez to the podium.
I would say, let's keep this short and let's get back to the music. It's a very special privilege to say a few words about one of the most spectacular human beings whose path ever crossed mine. We have heard and we all agree that Johnny Clegg was a national treasure alongside the likes of Bram Fischer and Nelson Mandela and Walter Sisulu and Beyers Naudé. But he was also our pride, our genius of poetry and music. He was our own Usain Bolt or John Lennon or Bob Dylan. He was also one of the few white men in South Africa who could really dance. Well, Johnny danced on and over and on both sides of the worst fault line in our society and in the world. He went where others were too ignorant, too scared, or too self-conscious to go. And he did it with courage and joy. He wasn't a politician. He was a human being with an open heart, an open mind, and an innocence of spirit. As a young man, he sensed something special, something extraordinary to discover. And he went there without ideology or dogma, but with great enthusiasm and energy, and with a love of humanity. And then he made that his own and shared it with the world. Johnny Clegg's music was the soundtrack of what we could have been and should have become as a people on the southern tip of the mother continent. If only we did. Johnny dared not only us, but the people of Paris and Nairobi and Chicago and Bogota to imagine a common humanity. When the news of his passing became known, a great groan rose from Onsiepkans to Umkomaas, from George to George Goch. And in the old tradition of paying utmost respect, people said to each other, "Stil broers, daar gaan 'n man verby." Johnny Clegg will be remembered much, much longer than those among us now who think they are important and powerful. And his music will never die. Johnny, ek groet jou my broer. Jy was 'n profeet en 'n filosoof en 'n shaman. Dankie dat jy die vensters van ons siel oopgemaak het. Mooi loop. Let me now introduce the Soweto Gospel Choir and Zolani Mahola with their tribute to Johnny Clegg.
Asimbonanga Mandela thina laphe behleli khona asimbonanga uMandela laphe khona laphe behleli khona. Oh, the sea is cold and the sky is gray. I look across the island into the bay. We are all islands till comes the day we cross the burning water. Asimbonanga uMandela thina laphe khona laphe behleli khona. Asimbonanga uMandela thina laphe khona laphe behleli khona. A seagull wings across the sea. Broken silence is what I dream. Who has the words to close the distance between you and me? Well, yeah, asimbonanga uMandela thina laphe khona laphe behleli khona. Asimbonanga uMandela thina laphe khona laphe behleli khona. Awuthi hey wena nawe sofika nini la siyakhona awuthi hey wena nawe sofika nini la siyakhona asimbonanga uMandela thina laphe khona laphe behleli khona. Asimbonanga uMandela laphe khona laphe behleli khona. Asimbonanga uMandela thina laphe khona laphe behleli khona. Hamba kahle mkhonto wesizwe.
Please welcome on stage Jesse and Johnny Clegg.
My brother and I would like to say a few thank yous to a few people. First and foremost, to our mom, Jenny. She has been a pillar of strength for our family, and especially my dad, through his time of illness. One of her many Zulu praise names is Power Steering, which gives you an idea of the strength she has given all of us through this journey. We love you dearly, Mom. And a few more thank yous to the following people for their unconditional friendship and support, to my dad and to all of us. Anthony Chait, Hilton Rosenthal, Andy Innes, Bafazana Oma, Charlie Mzila, Rabbi Uzwalk, Real Concerts, Jeanette Gumbert Odgets, Paula and Tristan Quinn.
A special thank you to the following people for their dedication and commitment in looking after my dad during his time of illness. Dr. Martin Smith, Dr. Lance Josselson, Dr. Mark Kadish, Dr. Edmund Schutzer, all the sisters and nurses and hospice staff, in particular Gerda Lebashangne and Francis Hozak, and a very special thank you to Netcare and to Richard Friedland for going above and beyond in supporting my dad and the family, providing the highest level of care we could have hoped for.
For their support in making this beautiful memorial happen at such short notice, we'd like to also thank everyone at Real Concerts, Mannequin Pictures, Gear House, and of course the Convention Center, and all the amazing artists, musicians, speakers, and the crew who participated here today.
And finally, someone who we consider family. He has managed my dad for decades and has championed his cause both professionally and personally. During my dad's illness, he accompanied us to every medical procedure and hospital visit. He was fundamental in putting together my dad's farewell tour, and we have laughed and cried together throughout this entire journey. He has been a rock for my mom, my brother, and I. This memorial would not have happened without him. To Roddy Quinn, thank you for everything. We love you dearly. Finally, we would like to invite all the artists here today on stage to sing the next song in honor of my father.
That every breath that I take, through all the nights I have lain alone in someone else's dream awake,
all the words and truth we have spoken,
that the wind has blown away.
Oh, it's only
Kosi. Sithi uyalikhenko masilimanele. Wabani sandla nimemelele. But Johnny Clegg, goodbye to Luca. We'll always remember you. For memory is our heritage. It helps us to preserve our cultural integrity, sustain our heritage intelligence, and maintain our traditional protocols. But we get Johnny Clegg. Citizen is a matter of Castella, a matter of Tonyama. City come not to Paletona to Tapisha.
Rest in peace, Johnny. What's a Friday? What's a Friday? We'll miss you, my brother. Rest in peace.
Our last item is a video that was directed and produced by Johnny Clegg. It was the music video for Take My Heart Away. Thank you.
Take my heart away.
Yeah,